as pronounced by Dr. Congratulatory 4 years because of hard work. They turned the minority into a majority when it came to the 2000 elections. Mr. Speaker, again, in 2012, the MPP suffered another defeat, and the NDC had a majority. In 2016, another historic feat was achieved by the MPP. 9 seats. Time the people exercise their mandate again. Our independent who caucused with us, and we made it to 138. Dr. Forson, I have heard you. You have overwhelming majority. But that majority will start reducing from the majority. Mr. Speaker, already we are experiencing some encircling gloom. This darkness we are seeing. You say less than 40 ministers. I know they can't take it. Mr. Speaker, even if your flag bearer, who is now president-elect, said 60, we are going to see we are going to welcome it. The betting tax, the e-levy. You are going to repeal all these taxes. You are going to reduce the taxes at the port. We wonder where you get the money. We are waiting. These are on for us to reflect, particularly those of us in this country. When you get into government, whilst you are happy to implement your policies, you are like, the people have spoken, we've accepted it. But Mr. Speaker, the coming days and years will reveal the true colors of in this chamber. Looks forward to a leadership that will keep us going and keep the lights on in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, let me commend you for the 4 years of your leadership in this House. Mr. Speaker, we may have our disagreements, but it is obvious that members' welfare have been key to your leadership. Nobody can take it away from you. Mr. Speaker, the institutions are being retained or a new person is going to be appointed, but I pray that you, of all that Mr. Speaker has done for you, you are going to sack Mr. Speaker. We will see. Mr. Speaker, if they decide to retain you, I know they can do it. They are of this House. That Speaker should come from within, who would understand colleagues that within the few days and weeks left, we should do everything possible for matters that who by virtue of his position in the transitional arrangement so far, I know he would understand the need to cooperate to ensure the happiness of members. I cannot foresee members being happy to do the rest of government business when we've not dealt with the issues of welfare. Mr. Speaker, these matters must be attended to. Members have projects outstanding in their constituencies. We need to together work and ensure that statutory funds that are outstanding are released so that members can continue their projects, hand them over, especially those who are leaving us. Mr. Speaker, to colleagues who could not make it, there's a better day tomorrow. Do not give up. The Frenchman will say, c'est la vie, this is life. There are good days and bad days. If you lost get back to the people, understand them, do some research, and I'm quite sure that upon that and reflection, you'll be better prepared for a better day tomorrow. There are some amongst us who lost elections and came back. Go to them, consult them, and engage them. And if you are desirous of remaining in public life, I'm sure you'll make it the next time around. For those of us who have won, let us be mindful of the needs of our people. We should really evaluate, assess, and critically analyze our votes. Those that were coming down, we should know what the people are telling us, so that we'll be better prepared for the next election in terms of the decisions that we will take. Mr. Speaker, with this, I would want to again welcome colleagues and thank also the parliamentary service staff. They've been our silent enablers, encouraging us, supporting us. You know, Mr. Speaker, they make us function and function effectively. To them, I say thank you. We appreciate your work in silence. God will richly bless you for all you do in silence for the benefit of the people's representatives. Mr. Speaker, without more, let me thank you for this opportunity, and I say may God bless this house. Thank you.
Honorable members, it is with a deep sense of duty and gratitude that I warmly welcome you to the grand arena of the Accra International Conference Center to commence the sittings of the 7th meeting of the 4th session of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. Considering how stressful the election season has been, many of you would have loved to spend some time with your friends and families and to recuperate and de-stress. Unfortunately, you did not get that luxury. I am glad it has not been lost on you that this House stands at a critical juncture in our nation's parliamentary history. And so you have responded to the notice of summons to attend this national call beyond the expectations of our people. I appreciate all of you for the acceptance of my call to reconvene Parliament today. I want to take advantage of this opportunity to congratulate the people of Ghana, particularly the voters, for the exceptional display of maturity in the exercise of the right of choice as to who should lead our nation in the next government. The peaceful manner in which Ghanaians participated in this pivotal process is a clear affirmation of our collective resolve to uphold, protect, and entrench democratic culture in the governance of our country. We have learned some lessons in the aftermath of voting, and I'm hopeful steps will be taken to remedy the defects in the electoral system and the process, particularly of collation. Despite these drawbacks, the spirit of cooperation and respect exhibited by a majority of the voters and political leaders reflect the resilience and maturity of our democracy. Let us acknowledge, appreciate, and celebrate this achievement and use it as a solid foundation stone for continuous dialogue and collaboration as we work together to build the Ghana we want. To some of you, honorable members, this meeting may be the last moment of service within the corridors of Parliament, but certainly not the end of your political service or end of life. You never know what life holds in store for you. I encourage you to soldier on. Who knows, you may be, in the near future, you may join the group of members of Parliament referred to in this House as "we shall return." Kindly take heart and remain hopeful of the future. Having said this, on behalf of the Parliament of Ghana, I extend our hearty congratulations to the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for his leadership in the organization of the general elections, and the Vice President for conceding defeat early enough to those the heat generated by the decisive vote of the people of Ghana. I'll also, on your behalf, applaud the President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the Vice President-elect, Her Excellency Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ajiman, for scoring an emphatic victory and a heavy mandate of Ghanaians at the just ended general elections. I need not remind anyone of the saying, "To whom much is given, much is expected." Your promise to reset Ghana has been massively endorsed by the voters, and you cannot afford to disappoint them. I trust Parliament will be a reliable partner and the gatekeeper to ensure a just delivery of that promise. Many opportunities have been unleashed and many more myths broken by this victory. But I'm very, very happy that we did not just pass the law on gender for nothing. It has already shown some fruits. Her Excellency's ascendancy to the position of the Vice President of this nation has not just opened the door, it has opened doors. And I'm happy with her promise that she's going to keep the doors open for many more to take advantage of and to improve the living standard of our people. Ghana's democracy is the ultimate winner of these elections. We are definitely on the right course. And I want to encourage all to continue in that right direction. Honorable members, this meeting is for a few days, being a product of a culmination of teething problems of our fourth attempt at democratic governance. I take this opportunity to acknowledge the commitment, resilience, and dedication that some of you honorable members have made and displayed to ensure that the term of this Parliament ends successfully. Together, we have maneuvered and creditably navigated through, for the first time, an unexpected hung Parliament with its unprecedented challenges. Despite our failings as legislators and leaders, Ghanaians held their peace and endured with admirable patience and tolerance. I take this opportunity to commend all Ghanaians for the show and demonstration of democratic maturity. As we prepare to embark on this penultimate meeting, we have, honorable members, work to do. We have a duty to perform. We have a parliament to strengthen, and we have a nation to build. The business of this House is far from complete, and the legislative priorities before us demand nothing short of our loyal service, utmost dedication, focus, and firm action. Several crucial private and public bills, tax and financial requisitions, international agreements, and committee reports are pending and at various stages of consideration. Unfortunately, the season and time are not in favor of a heavy work schedule as detailed out on the order paper. We are compelled, in the circumstances, to be realistic and to prioritize business. Unless we abandon the interests of the people and nation, there is no way the long list of government business on the order paper could be done within this limited period of time before the end of the term of office of this Parliament. Consequently, I propose the House considers the following items as priority business. 1, expenditure in advance of appropriation bill 2024. 2, environmental protection bill 2024. The consideration of the clauses of this bill has been taken already. It's just left with the third reading only. 3, Boundary Commission Bill 2024. This is a very urgent bill due to the state of insecurity in the world, particularly our sub-region, West Africa. So the Social Protection Bill 2023 as number 4, Parliament Transition Bill 2023, the Parliamentary Service Bill 2024, and a few Public Accounts Committee reports, which, if not taken, will lapse and have to be referred to a new committee in the 9th Parliament. And I believe that will cause irreparable damage to our economy. The 2 bills sponsored by Parliament are essential in refining the processes involved in the peaceful transfer of the management and administration of Parliament to prevent the occurrence of the ugly incidents at the birth of the 8th Parliament. It is time the processes and procedures of transition from one Parliament to the other. The Presidential Transition Act 2012 is a shining precedent for the executive arm of government. Additionally, the long-awaited International Business and Economic Transactions Bill, which is pivotal in positioning Ghana as a key player in the global economic arena, ought to be considered. I'm however giving a signal that this is unlikely to happen because of the nature of the bill. But I believe that this bill lays the groundwork for more robust, clear, and transparent international economic engagements, enhancing investor confidence while safeguarding our national interests. I urge the Business Committee and leadership of the House to sequence the programming of these essential legislative items. Honorable members, let us end this Parliament on a good note. It is essential as leaders for us to act to preserve the gains of our democracy. In summary, I emphasize our sacred mandate to serve the people of Ghana. This sacred mandate remains active until the end of this parliamentary term, and nobody should forget of that. Once more, you are all warmly welcome, and I thank you for your attention. Honorable members, we will now move to the next item, an official report. I have 2 editions. The first, dated Tuesday, 22nd October 2024. I hope members have copies of that. 12, page 3. Page 5. Sorry, page 4. Honorable Member for West Central.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to draw attention to the fact that you adjourned out because there was no quorum. But if you look at the total number of people listed here, you have 171. It does contradict the reason you adjourned the House. Purposely for lack of quorum. And you have 171. I just wonder how it is. And the report is saying that the caucus, the majority caucus, did not attend the House. So it kind of contradicts the essence of the reasons you close the, you adjourned. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm just wondering if we have been given different votes and proceedings for 22nd October 2024. Because, right, Honourable Speaker, what I have has 120 members, not 170 as Honourable Pelpo has. So that's Tuesday, 22nd October 2024. I have 120 members present, 7 members absent with permission, and then, Mr. Speaker, 148 members absent without permission. That's what I have. So I don't know if we have been issued with different votes and proceedings for Tuesday, 22nd October 2024.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I'm just adding my voice to what former Deputy Leader said, Honorable Rashid Pelpo, in respect of their votes. Mr. Speaker, even if it was 120, as per the records, the 120 present was sufficient number for the House to sit and deliberate on matters. So I just wanted to add my voice to what he said, without more. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Again, Honorable Ablakwa.
Hello? Yeah, I'm grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I rise to draw the attention of the Honourable Majority Leader that the intervention he just made has been settled by the Right Honorable Speaker. If the Majority Leader pays regard to page 8, paragraph 7.3, the Speaker explained that, quote, the Right Honorable Speaker indicated that per Article 102 of the 1992 Constitution and Order 64.1 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, the House had quorum to transact business. However, per Article 1041 of the Constitution, the House did not have the numbers to take decisions. So the matter was addressed by the Right Honorable Speaker. So that intervention that we had the numbers to proceed and all of that, Mr. Speaker, we only had the numbers to form a quorum, but we didn't have the numbers to take a decision under Article 1041, which the Right Honorable Speaker properly addressed. So I don't know where the Majority Leader is going with this. You are leading us astray. And if we can focus on the correct vote and proceedings, if we do have the same vote and proceedings for Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, I think that will be helpful.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, before I respond to my respected colleague, and I know that he wasn't attempting to challenge me on procedure. In the least, my procedure is good. Mr. Speaker, you made me aware some time ago, and this is a preliminary comment before I come to his issue, that sometimes a speaker may have to make a mistake to ensure that democracy survives. So, Mr. Speaker, this you told me some time ago, that sometimes some mistakes are necessary. I'm referring to Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying that sometimes some mistakes are made just to get things done. So I have said that in jest. But let me go to the issue. The issue raised by Honorable Pelpo was to the effect that the House was adjourned because there was no quorum to sit, not quorum to take decision. That was his argument. Mr. Speaker, that was his argument, that why is it that although we had sufficient numbers to proceed with the day's sitting. Mr. Speaker, in Parliament, we don't only sit to take decisions. We sit also to make statements. When it comes to statements, statements are made where a matter of national importance is considered, is debated. A motion could also be taken. It is only when it gets to the point of decision making that the secondary stage of quorum would have to be triggered. Mr. Speaker, the issue is the primary issue of quorum, which Honorable Pelpo wanted to draw the House's attention to the fact that we had quorum to sit. There wasn't any government business on the floor that day. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to take it that perhaps it was one of those necessary errors to get democracy going. But Mr. Speaker, there was no such issue of lack of quorum for the House to sit. And the 120 members present answers the question. Nobody should attempt to create confusion on this matter. Honorable members should not throw dust into our eyes. This is the issue. Hansard will capture the record. The vote is here that we had 120 members present. That is in respect of the 22nd of October 2024. It's here. The last person is Zidane Bed and Wata Zumo. Is here, Mr. Speaker. So the House was properly constituted to proceed with deliberations. And to undertake other legislative work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, Honorable Rashid Belpo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think we are operating at two different levels. I made a mistake and made reference to the Thursday sitting, which had 171 members. And so he is talking about the Tuesday meeting. So he may be arguing on the right path or otherwise, but that's not exactly what I meant. I just wanted to make reference to the 171 members. And I thought that the 171 members were not present in the House and couldn't have been captured in the vote and proceedings. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Honorable members. Yes, please. Honorable Blackwell, yes.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the majority leader is raising a matter that, Mr. Speaker, we have to pay attention to. This being a house of record, and these are matters that went all the way to the Supreme Court. They are constitutional issues, and we should not gloss over them. The fact of the matter is that when we convened here on the 22nd of October, our colleagues on the other side did not attend proceedings. They were not in this house. They boycotted the sitting. And so we did not have a decision-making quorum. And that is the basis upon which the Speaker ruled, which is clearly stated in the votes and proceedings. So for the majority leader to be using the back door, albeit surreptitiously, to say that there was a mistake by the Speaker, there was no mistake. There was no mistake. The fact of the matter is that we did not have a decision-making quorum. And the Speaker stated emphatically that there were decisions that we had to take. We didn't meet that day to read statements and to exchange pleasantries and to file questions and all of that. There was a motion, there was the need to take a decision, and we didn't have a quorum to take that decision. We didn't have the minimum 138 to take a decision. We didn't have that. So Mr. Speaker ruled clearly. And Mr. Speaker, in case the majority leader wants us to refer him again to page 8, the Speaker's ruling is there clearly that the House, per Article 1041 of the Constitution, did not have the numbers to take a decision because there was, according to the Speaker, a matter that required a decision to be taken. And we did not have the numbers to take a decision. So if you read it, it's stated there clearly. Just read the ruling fully. And you will see that the Speaker was very, very clear that we were meeting to take decisions. And we did not have a quorum to take a decision. So Majority Leader, this is your attempt to use the back door to rewrite what had happened and to even suggest that the Speaker made a mistake. And you know our standing orders. If the Speaker made a mistake, have you come by motion to challenge the ruling of the Speaker? The Speaker's ruling has not been challenged. And that is the ruling of this House. That's what that's what the records reflect. So Mr. Speaker, I think that we have to really make progress. The Speaker has not made a mistake. What transpired here is clear. You called for an emergency sitting. You ran away. You didn't show up. We were here. You were nowhere to be found. I actually thought you used this opportunity to apologize to Mr. Speaker and all of us who had to leave our campaigns and come to this House, and indeed the entire Ghanaian populace. So, Honorable Afenyo Maki, you should be apologizing to us, to Mr. Speaker and Ghanaians, not trying to distort what happened in this House, which has been accurately reflected per our records.
Yes, Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you just called for correction of votes and proceedings. It is entirely in the bosom of the House that if a mistake has been done, we correct it now. That contorted argument that no decision was being made, so calling that order to enforce is wrong. He himself, in speaking, he said that there was no decision on the order paper to be made. So maybe we should take advantage that the item on the table now, on the floor now, is correction of votes and proceedings. So, Mr. Speaker, if something has been stated wrongly, this is the time to correct it so that we can move on.
Honorable members, I think we should just proceed. The person who raised the issue said his reference was to a different order, votes and proceedings, dated Thursday, 7th November 2024, not the one we're considering, dated Tuesday, 22nd October 2024. And so that ends it. And for the others, those who believe that are erred in my ruling may need to be taken to school. I'm not sure they read the ruling very well. And that ruling actually worked in their favor. Honorable Majority Leader, it actually worked in your favor. And for you to come here and try to impede on that ruling, please, I really was surprised that you raised the issue that you put across. It's not correct. Please.
It will don't intend the temperature. Mr. Speaker, I never raised this matter. Honorable Rashid.
I'm not saying you raised the matter. I've not said that.
Mr. Speaker, calm
but
down.
you
We'll just
gave
start.
an example that I told you. I'm sure you are talking about maybe in private.
No, Mr. Speaker,
That
that's
sometimes
different.
the speaker errs.
Mr. Speaker, not on this occasion. It was not related to this. Mr. Speaker, it's not related to this. Mr. Speaker, today is the first day. Don't mind them. They are provoking you. Don't mind them. It is not like, Mr. Speaker, don't mind them. Don't be provoked. Mr. Speaker, be a very happy man. I beg you. I don't want them
Don't worry, I will never be provoked.
Mr. Speaker, that's
But the public, they are listening to us.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't relate it.
You know,
I beg you.
and the public will be misled. The third reason, for the reason why I adjourned, actually not suspend, I adjourned the meeting indefinitely. And I listened to some of you debate this matter on air, and I thought you should have been commending me for adjourning it, but you were rather condemning me for doing so. It saddened me, but I understand the arena we are in. And so I've taken it cool in my stride. As we go along, we'll have to deepen the orientation and training of members of parliament so that we don't get the public being confused by you who are seen as leaders, you who are seen who should know better, rather misleading them. So let's go back to the correction of votes and proceedings on the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 22nd October 2024. We're at page 4. And those present, as you can see, are 120. Those absent with permission were only 7. Then the rest are absent without permission. So please, page 4. Yes.
No, page 4. Item 13, I was present, but be marked as absent.
Table office, kindly take note. Yes. Honorable member. Are you on your feet to sorry, page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Yes, Honorable Oseche Mensah-Bonsu.
Speaker, page 6, item numbered as 98. I think I transmitted a leave of absence request that have been marked as absent without permission. So if you may direct the team officers to take note of that. And having said so, Mr. Speaker, even though we start a bit late, it's past 2 o'clock, it's almost 3. I don't know whether you may want to call for an extension of the sitting period.
Yes, I may need to look at our new standing orders. A few things have been changed in the new standing orders. But I call on the table office to look at the request for permission and whether that request was approved. If so, please, you do the right thing by making sure that he's absent with permission. If not, you leave it as it is. But now our standing orders talks about us sitting for 5 hours, not the 4 hours as indicated by the earlier standing orders. And so there have been some change as to a time to announce or give notice to the House of an extension of sitting. So we may have to look at it again. Page 7. Yes, please.
You're right, Honorable Speaker. I was marked absent without permission, but I was present. Thank you.
What's your number?
Number is 138.
8. $138. Yes, you want to help her?
No, Mr. Speaker, I had a different matter that I wanted to raise, but she said 138, page 7.
Yes, 138, yes. Yes, you could now add yours.
And Mr. Speaker, again on page 7, number 134, I was in the House but marked absent, so if can be captured.
Are you sure that day you were in the House?
Mr. Speaker, yes. And I even granted an interview on that day. I came in and my members had done the press conference and left. But at least I was in the chamber and it should reflect as such. If we are here independently representing our people, on that day I was here and I granted an interview after that.
Yes, table office, kindly take note of that. Page 8. Yes, sorry, page 7.
7. Mr. Speaker, number 115. I was present that day, but not absent. Thank you.
Number 115. Kindly take note. Yes.
Speaker, thank you. Page 6, number 69. I was present in the chamber. Thank you.
Table office, kindly take note. Any more? Okay, we'll move to page 8. Page 9, page 8. Yes, please.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, page 8, the tradition of this House, when there has been a boycott by one side, is that the vote and proceedings capture that. But you go through the entire vote and proceedings, and Mr. Speaker, that is not reflected. Mr. Speaker, for example, if you take the Thursday, 7 November one, that is captured. That boycott or lack of attendance is stated. But in the case of the 22nd October 2024, no show by our colleagues on the other side is not captured. You only get a slight sense of that when you look at the Speaker's ruling, where the Speaker says that the House did not have the numbers to take decisions. But why didn't we have the numbers? That must be stated, because our colleagues were not in the House that day. And that has been the tradition. It is always stated in the vote and proceedings. So, Mr. Speaker, if the table office can reflect that development, because it is missing.
Yes, Honorable, is that Chairman of Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in response to my colleague's correction, I do not think that we were in the House and we walked out. That's what we call boycott. Members, it is recorded that 120 were present. This number was absent with permission, and these numbers were absent, Mr. Speaker. And I think that the records, it's captured it straight away. Nothing happened in the chamber that indicates that a group of the people had boycotted Parliament. And therefore, I think it should remain as such. Thank you.
Well, I can only direct the table office to cross-check as to what happened that day. Because on record, there is no indication of a boycott or even a walkout. But my ruling gave an indication that we do not have sufficient numbers. And definitely those of us who were present also observed a few things. And I think that it have been captured by the verbatim reporters who were present in the House. But our attention has been drawn by the Honorable Member for Domi Kwabinya that she came later on and was present in the House. And so we'll have to make sure that we capture all this. But I recall talking about adjourning the House, the meeting, not suspending the meeting. So please, table office, take note of it at paragraph 3 of my ruling. Now we go to page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. page 15, page 16, page 17, honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 22nd October 2024 are hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. We now take Thursday, 7th November 2024, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 7. Yes, please.
I'm grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, page 7, item number 4, your formal communication to the House, second paragraph. The two requests, the dates provided are incomplete. We only have 22nd October and 24th October, but the year is missing. So if they can add a year, this being a House of Records, I presume it's 22nd October 2024 and 24th October 2024. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Table office kindly do so. Page 8. Honorable members, the votes and proceedings of the emergency sitting dated Thursday, 7th November 2024, as corrected, are adopted as a true record of proceedings. We now move to the official reports. And I have 4 copies of different sorry, my attention has been drawn to the fact that Honorable Osei Chairman Sebonsu was on his feet. Sorry. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, not really a matter of controversy, but I thought that is for consistency. Mr. Speaker, you adjourned the sitting of 7th November 2024 on account of the prevailing situation in the House, that you took cognizance of the fact that a group of members were not present in the House. And then you proceeded to, on account of that, you proceeded to adjourn the House sine die. That was on the 7th of November 2024. The Speaker, on Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, when you adjourned the House, it was on account of prevailing circumstances. One, and you yourself mentioned it, the prevailing circumstances. 2, the question on the composition and constitution of Parliament. And 3, having regard to public interest. These were the 3 reasons that you cited, and then you proceeded to adjourn the House. Mr. Speaker, I'm just juxtaposing the 2 circumstances. Same thing. And in that regard, what you did will not qualify for a ruling, because I've heard people refer to the fact that you made a ruling. A ruling on what? A ruling is only made when there's a matter in contention, and then you come in to give your interpretation and how the House should proceed. So what you did, captured on page 8 of the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, which has been described as your ruling with the greatest respect. The adjournment was an account of the prevailing circumstances, and you related to it. And as far as I'm concerned, that will not qualify for a ruling of the House. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Yes, please.
Speaker, we are correcting votes and proceedings. There's nothing here that says that the Speaker gave a ruling. There's nothing. So, Speaker, page 8 says Speaker informed the House. So it was information coming from Mr. Speaker. As for what other people have said on radio, it cannot be part of our votes and proceedings.
Well, I take it that the word ruling has been used loosely because the votes and proceedings are very clear. They refer to what happened that day as formal communications. On both instances, it's captured there as formal communications. But what is generally understood by many, particularly the public, is ruling. And so we are all caught up. Even I have fallen a number of times into that trap, and I've used it a number of times. So it's not a formal ruling, but just communication to the House. And I think that the former majority leader was drawing our attention to it. But Honorable Mama Yarga is right. We are correcting the votes and proceedings of the House, and there's nothing referred there to ruling. It's just information to members. It's a formal communication. Yes, Member of Parliament for Domi Kwabinya.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also to take you back to the vote and proceedings, which you've already cleared, but I just want to draw your attention to something on page 14 about the Committee on Employment, Labor Relations and Pensions. Honorable Comfort Doyo originally is not a member of the committee, but the matter that we were considering was bothering in her, or was happening in her constituency. And I remember that every time that we met, she made herself available. So if it can be captured as in attendance, at least it would capture the true reflection of what happened on that day. She's always been part of our meetings as the Member of Parliament in the Adan area where the electoral term issue occurred. Not as a member of the committee, but as the sitting Member of Parliament who has shown concern. Thank you.
The table of take note. Anyway, let's now look at the official report, starting with the one on 5th July 2024, which is a Friday. The proceedings of that day has been captured verbatim in the official report. Any corrections? Honorable members. Yes, please. You don't have copies?
No, right, Honorable Speaker. Yes, please. We don't have copies.
What about the 9th, 10th, and 11th July? These are all none. Then we'll have to take it another day. Please, table office, take note of that and get copies across to members. Honorable members, we move to the next item. Business
respect, I shall proceed with a business statement for the week ending 20th of December 2024. Mr. Speaker, the business committee met and agreed on the business for the week. Same has been captured by a 9-page document signed by my very self and attached to this report. Mr. Speaker, per what we have, we expect to not only end on Friday, but Mr. Speaker, if you would permit, we may have to add Saturday to the sitting so that we could adjourn for the Christmas and then come back. Mr. Speaker, all these that have been proposed are conditioned on resolving some critical outstanding matters, particularly statutory payment and other matters that members expect action on. I expect the whips to take this matter up, the majority and the minority whips to take the outstanding statutory payment matters up so that it will pave the way for us to have a smooth deliberation for the week. Mr. Speaker, the report has been circulated to all members, and I shall proceed to resume my seat and let's invite comment from members so that we bring a finality to the program for the week. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member, we take it that the business report has been presented. Any comments? Yes, Honorable Haruna Idrisu.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to make a comment on the business statement presented by the leader of government business. And Mr. Speaker, one thought that the governments in the country, and therefore as a house, Mr. Speaker, one of the most important business this house should preoccupy itself with is the expenditure in advance of appropriation for January to March 2020. Powers of government from 7th January will have to put its act together in order to get a budget 5th to 7th January. Therefore, what we are expected to do is to know, one, how the workers of this country will be taken care of in respect of compensation. Then, if there are interest payment commitments on loans in order that the country does not stand in default, that would also be addressed. So, Mr. Speaker, whilst you are giving your comments, I'm not sure the leader was listening. So that is major business. As for wanting to commit the new administration to some of the policy guidance, Mr. Speaker, we note that this government has a mandate until midnight of 6th January. But cautiously, they should be guided that they are not committing the incoming administration to some fiscal and budget constraints with some of the decisions they want to make. So he should, as you guided, Mr. Speaker, some of it that he wants to, some of the business he wants to take, even though he says that he wants understanding and consensus, he should be guided and prioritize government business. Our first major business should be the expenditure in advance of appropriation. That this House must concern itself with. The other business can wait. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Blackwell.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker, the list of priorities for this meeting, Mr. Speaker, I want to respectfully appeal to you. As you read through your list of priorities, I was hoping to hear that we will include work on the constitutional amendment bill on the dual citizenship matter. Because, Mr. Speaker, I thought that we had come very far on that, but I didn't hear you speak to that matter, and it also doesn't find expression here in the business statement. So, Mr. Speaker, if you can probably avert your mind to that. Then, Mr. Speaker, the second issue that I want to raise relates to the tall list of tax waivers that the majority leader continues to present to this House in business statements. Mr. Speaker, we have stated our position on this matter, and considering the fact that all of these matters have been voted against and rejected by the Ghanaian people, why is the majority leader still putting it in the business statement and wanting to get us to work on these matters, which are so unpopular? Tall list, over 40 tax waivers, Mr. Speaker, and this will have serious fiscal implications for the next government. I mean, why do you want to saddle the next government with these huge revenue losses when you have been roundly rejected at the polls? And this is a government talking about coming to cut down obnoxious and nuisance taxes. And then you are creating more fiscal liabilities for us. So, Mr. Speaker, we want to serve notice that these tax waivers, we are not going to support them. So, please listen to the Right Honourable Speaker's list of priorities, particularly the budget for the first 3 months of next year. As for tax waivers, we cannot support you. Honorable Afenyo-Markin, we cannot support you. So you need to really get this out of the business statement. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Chairman. Yes, Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. Opoku-Prempeh, yes.
It's not hyphenated.
It's not.
It's not.
Only the NAPO is together.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thought the minority leader and the majority leader had come to an understanding as far as government business that we can pursue this session that we are undergoing. Just to get up and say that Ghanaians have totally rejected LPP and all its bills and all its encumbrances is a very, very unfair statement, Mr. Speaker. It's a very, very unfair statement in the sense that there are other things that have been programmed that I think that we shouldn't even bother to do. Why should we at this time take up any bill, whether it is environmental bill or social bill? I think the new government then should come and start, because we are resetting. And I agree, Ghanaians voted for resetting. So, Mr. Speaker, let's probably, the only thing we have to do is to take the vote on account and close shop. We should not continue with any business here, because like Honorable Okujeto said, and rightly so, Ghanaians have voted for the resetting agenda of Nkoko Nkiti. So, not only that, Mr. Speaker, apart from the vote and proceedings and maybe his end of service benefits that he's very much interested in, every other thing, social protection bill, second reading of bills, third reading, so that we have enough time to do Article 71 business and do vote on account, such that, yes, if it is not worth doing, it's not worth doing. Please. So we have agreed on resetting. Let's close shop on everything. Do those that are interested in that will further his own personal interest and close shop. Thank you.
Honorable members, we don't need to debate this matter. I've guided the House because I know what happened at the end of 2000. And I know what happened at the end of 2008. I know what happened at the end of 2016. I know the statements that incoming governments made and the outgoing governments. And we are following those good practices. And so before I gave the proposals in my statement, leadership had a bite on it. Where they agree, I captured it. Where they disagreed, in my statement, sequence them so that we can handle them, because I thought the number one priority is the expenditure in advance of appropriation. In fact, I was told that we will start it today. I'm aware that a request was also made for the Public Accounts Committee reports because of the nature of those reports. And so I captured those things for our consideration. Beyond that, that not for the determination of the 8th Parliament. Then the 9th Parliament will come to continue if the new government considers it necessary to proceed with. So let's take to this agenda and let's get some business done. Please. That will be my focus. Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Just to add that, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Leader of the House suggested we sit on Saturday. Mr. Speaker, that is totally rejected. There's no reason for us to sit on Saturday. Mr. Speaker, on 2 occasions, his side dragged us out of our constituencies to this house to do what he described as urgent business, which is not different from what is placed here. He refused to even come and do his own business. Now that you have called us under normal circumstances, he's asking us to add another day, a Saturday. Mr. Speaker, what is the justification? And that is why I adopt the position by the former running mate of New Patriotic Party, my own friend, Honorable Dr. Opoku Prempeh, who says that we should take the businesses that are urgent, that is appropriation in advance expenditure in advance of appropriation, and those items that are time-bound. And then we call it a day. The new government comes and decide what priorities are. Then we do them, Mr. Speaker. So I think, Leader, we beg you. I know you have a tough job, but to assume that we can do, you know it yourself, we cannot start any bill now. We've never even done it before. It is just not, and I would encourage you. The atmosphere in the House today appears to be cordial. I entreat you to entrench the peaceful nature of this House towards Friday. Any attempt to do other things may not be good. And you also said the whips should do something about welfare. Leader, you have the key to addressing the welfare issues of this House. I have no control over the finance minister. I have no control over the common fund administrator. You can do that. I don't even know the last time I saw the how do you call it, the common fund administrator. All I know is that during the campaign, candidates of a particular party receive a lot of goodies from common fund. It's not from her. It's not from her. Okay. Honorable Dr. Opoku Prempeh said that it's not from her. I just said, I didn't mention any name. I said they receive goodies. One particular party received goodies that appear to be goods from common fund. But if it's not from her, fine. But the only people who can cause the common fund administrator to disburse to the assemblies, the only person who can cause the common fund administrator to fulfill her mandate as in the Constitution is you, not our side. But if he fails, maybe we would advise ourselves. So there is no shifting of responsibility. You have the opportunity. I've seen people call you majority leader today.
live to the expectation. We have 5 days to prove you are majority leader. Otherwise, we take it from you. I will reserve other comments.
Honorable members, we are on the business statement. Yes, Chairman, Business Committee, and Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, these items that have been listed on the business statement have not suddenly arisen. They are not matters that have suddenly arisen. They have been with us. In the spirit of continuity in governance, in the spirit of a certain novel precedence to guide tomorrow, I want to encourage my colleagues to cooperate with government to do this key government business. For instance, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleague Ablakwa of Norton stated that the incoming government intends to reduce taxes and deal with obnoxious the tax regime we have, according to him. If that were to be so, why will this same incoming government reject the 1D1F, which is giving an incentive? Because we don't want too many imposition of taxes on corporate Ghana. What this tax is doing, what this is doing, is to take away the taxes. You say that you are going to repeal taxes. We are giving an incentive. You say no.
Honorable Majority Leader, business statement.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I'm responding to the consensus.
No, we are not debating the subject matter. We are looking at the business statement and the items.
So, Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is that I did not just come up with these. We sat at the committee. It's a collective decision to bring this proposal. Mr. Speaker, they should know that they are coming into government too. This opposition posture, you better change. I mean, you are no more in opposition. You better stop that your behavior. You should change your behavior. We should see signs of your readiness to govern and stop this violence, chaotic, bugaga thing. Stop. You are now...
Honorable members, please. We are not just in a conversation. We are in a parliament and we have rules. These items found space on the order paper because they are pending business. And so if you look at the standing orders, you have to keep on capturing them on the standing orders because they are business before the House. They were earlier on admitted by the Speaker. They were presented to the House. They are before us and they are not completed. So they will always find space on the standard, in the order paper. But I have stated clearly that in view of the limitation of time and the season, we will not do justice to this business if we decide to take them now. As a result of that, we should take just a few key items that can keep the wheel of governance going and the public interest attended to. And that is why I mentioned those items, particularly as they've been agreed to by both sides of the House. And so let's take to that. The others, there will be no time to consider them if we really want to do good business for the people of Ghana. Please, let's move on. There are other things that I want to inform you. But yes, Minority Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker, let me also comment on the business statement. The Speaker, this morning, I made it clear to my colleague, the Honorable Afenyo Markin, that it would be wrong for an outgoing government to commit an incoming government to millions of US dollars, which will be a fiscal strain on the next budget. The Speaker, I said this on the backdrop that before us, they are proposing to buy ships worth 140 million euros at this time. Mr. Speaker, it is very wrong for a government that is leaving office in 3 weeks, to commit 140 million euros. Mr. Speaker, if it is extremely important for the state, allow the new government to commit them. Right, Honorable Speaker, the tax exemptions before us, if approved, will have a fiscal burden in the next budget. So you are saying that the next government should carry your burden of $350 million? Mr. Speaker, no way. Commit to the 2025 budget. You don't know the priorities of the next government. Look, I reviewed the Hansard before coming here. The Honorable Chairman Sir Bozu is a precedent to me. Okay, it's authority on this matter. In 2016, what he said to us, and it is for that reason why today we were not able to take the loan for Dam and Go Water. I brought Dam and Go Water before us. They said to us that you cannot commit the next government, and if it is urgent or important, allow the next government to take it. So, Mr. Speaker, issues that will commit this country, as long as our budget is concerned, Mr. Speaker, I beg to say that let us leave it for the next administration to handle. But there are other low-hanging fruits here, like the Environmental Protection Agency bill. It is only, we finished the bill, we have left with only the third reading. So, Speaker, that one, if you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't want it, the next minister responsible for environment will come and do it. But anything else, Mr. Speaker, it won't happen. It will not happen. Thank you.
Hello. Is that the Minister for Defense?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I just want to be clear that to take a commercial loan and for Ghana and the IMF to agree only simply means that there must be special reasons why the IMF will agree for Ghana to take a commercial loan. And he knows that it was the IMF itself that had to agree to open up. The IMF will agree for Ghana to take a commercial loan. And he knows that it was the IMF itself that had to agree to open up the space for Ghana to be able to take this because Ghana does not have aircrafts and ships. It doesn't have aircraft and ships for our military. I don't have a problem with the next administration dealing with it. But when there is an opportunity to do it and you don't do it, that is up to them to be able to do it. I don't have a problem at all. And I just told him that at all, that we don't have a problem. I am saying that you have opportunity to purchase 2 ships from France for the Ghana Navy. If you think that you cannot do it now, Mr. Speaker, you wait and do it when the government comes. We don't have that problem. The new government comes. Nobody has that problem at all. I don't have a problem at all. If the IMF will agree and open for them to borrow next year, I don't have a problem at all with that. And so I will defer to them, Mr. Speaker, for them, because it leaves the burden of some of us to be able to do that. And the military know that they have been chasing this for 3 years. They've had an opportunity to do it, and they are those who purchase it. It's not this government. So if they think that they cannot do it, they have to wait and start all over again, good luck to them.
Mr. Speaker. We should hold on. We should not do it, and good luck to them. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minority, Deputy Minority Whip.
Thank you.
Either to schedule a joint caucus meeting. Mr. Speaker, most of the issues that are being discussed here are not, including even the security issues, are not good for public consumption. To schedule a joint caucus meeting. Mr. Speaker, most of the issues that are being discussed here are not, including even the security issues, are not good for public consumption. Mr. Speaker, it's for a good reason that on issues like this, the House will go into a joint caucus meeting for us to convince each other and know which way to go. Well, if I listen to the kind of discussions that we have, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't inure to the benefit of Mother Ghana. Therefore, I will advise to schedule a joint caucus meeting along the line so that we can speak across purposes and agree on which way to go. My humble submission, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Member for Ho Central.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to call upon the Majority Leader to reconvene a meeting of the Business Committee so that they will take account of the guidance that you have given. You see, this order paper, today's has a lot of items to be taken. And it's wasting a lot of paper. It's wasting a lot of paper. So if they take a cue from the guidance that you have given and redraw the business statement, then we will not have such copious items on the order paper to be taken every day. In consequence, you will find out that whatever limited business we have to do, we can take 2-3 days and finish it. Then we don't even have to wait till Friday before we adjourn. So my humble submission to the Majority Leader is that he should reconvene a business committee meeting to redraw the business statement, taking account of your guidance and all that colleagues have said today on the floor. I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Member for Tamale North. Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the business statement that has been ably presented by the Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, I will not wish to take part in the ongoing conversation on the other matters. I just want to crave your indulgence and make an appeal, Mr. Speaker, to you and the Business Committee to perhaps consider, even though the time is so short, space for a security briefing on the elections that has just taken place. Mr. Speaker, this government may not have the opportunity again to speak to this nation on how well or not they have handled security, especially in relation to the just ended elections. Mr. Speaker, I think this is important because loss of lives during elections should not become a norm. Our elections should not always record the loss of Ghanaian lives. Mr. Speaker, it's becoming one too many. The first time we recorded this was in the 2020 general elections, where about 6 to 7 lives were lost after the elections. 7 to 8 lives.
Mr. Speaker, just this election that has gone by, we are told of about 2 or 3 lives that have been lost. Mr. Speaker, indeed, as we speak, a family in Tolong, in Yangpala, is preparing for a funeral tomorrow with about 15 others nursing various degrees of injuries. Mr. Speaker, that cannot be accepted without us taking measures and proper briefing on what might have gone wrong. And so, Mr. Speaker, even though we do not have time, I will plead that the Business Committee considers a briefing to this House by either the Defense Minister or the Interior Minister or whoever was responsible for the provision of security in the just ended elections, so that the incoming government perhaps can take a cue and assure us that never again, after these 2 incidents, will we record loss of lives again during our elections. Mr. Speaker, it is my humble appeal to you and the Business Committee to consider. Thank you.
Honorable members, yes, Dr. Opoku Prempeh.
Thank you.
Before the Minister for Defense.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you ably and aptly... We have gone round and round and round, and we are coming back with a consensus. What we didn't do was to say that it is a restated business statement for the rest of the week. We have gone round and round and round, and we are coming back with a consensus to say maybe the leadership should meet urgently and consider things that the 2 sides can agree so that we go on. Mr. Speaker, I also don't believe that we are going to sit here and pick and choose. If we are not going to, and we are left with only 1 or 2 items, let's do those 1 or 2 items and leave the incoming government with a free hand to operate as they want. But what has been agreed, vote on expenditure for the first quarter of next year and other matters that we all agree to. Let's do that, and we can rise in 2-3 days. I don't believe personally that we should go about doing first reading of the bill, second reading of the bill, third reading of the bill, because it all has implications on the fiscal balance of the country. There's not a single bill here that hasn't got a cost implication for government. So let's leave it to them and let them inherit all the goodness of what we're trying to do, and let them bring in all the badness that they are bringing, so that Ghanaians will know the difference. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister for Defense.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I just want to support the position that, look, the business committee has met. We have never had a situation where the business committee has met and we have done everything. What we can do within the next 4 days, Mr. Speaker, let's do it. What is not possible, because if the 2 leaders or the leadership agree on what is possible, let's do it and move on. But Mr. Speaker, I want to respond to what my colleague said. We as a country agreed from 2008 that ministers of state, government functionaries, including the MMDs, so municipal chief executives, the DCEs, ministers of state, government officials, members of parliament cannot and should not be in charge of security when it comes to election matters. It should be left to the purview of the security services led by the police. So at the national level, it is the Inspector General of Police who is in charge of the security, the committee that oversees the security when it comes to election purposes. And at the regional level, it is the regional police commander who is in charge of it. And at district level, it is the district police commander who is in charge of it. And so that's how it is. There's an election committee at the national, at the regional, and at the district. If you are calling the Minister for Interior, he would just simply come and tell you he was not in charge of it. It's the IGP. If you call any other person, whether it's Defense or Interior or any of the ministers, they would just be there. They will have no answers, because at the day of before elections, the election and after election, is the security people who are in charge, led by the Inspector General of Police. And so if the Speaker thinks, or the House thinks that they want to call the election security to come and brief this house, it cannot be members of, it cannot be ministers or government appointees because they have no role. And in fact, it was good. It's good that the executive were not in charge of security. It's always been like that because you cannot be a judge of your own court. It's wrong. And so that's why if you are calling somebody, it can only be the IGP and his team that will come and then you decide what happens. But I can say the records does not speak, or the record does not support your position that it was just 2020 and 2024 that people died out of election. I can tell you 2004 in Tolong, in Kumbungu, go and find out, and several other places, people lost their lives. But Mr. Speaker, it's the decision of this House. If they want to call them, we can discuss these things. But just like somebody hinted, some of these discussions, it helps when we first do a committee of the whole, and after that, if we decide that there are some things that we want to talk to the public about, we can talk to the public about. I don't have any problem. If it's a public debate we want to do, we'll be willing to do a public debate on anything, anywhere, anytime, and any place. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, would we now proceed to adopt the report? But let me once again reiterate to all of you, particularly those of you who, as members of parliament, are given the opportunity to be ministers of state, together with the leader of government business. The Speaker presides over the business of the House. At least, even if not captured by our rules, the Speaker should have pre-knowledge of the business coming before the House. You don't bring business to the House and the Speaker gets to know of the business just on the order paper. How are you going to manage the debate on the business? These things we are talking about concerning the agreement between the Republic of Ghana and the military, I'm just seeing them on the order paper. I have no document, I have no briefing, I have nothing. And I'm expected by our rules to be the one admitting the business and the business being referred to the business committee to deliberate upon and schedule for the consideration of the House. I've told you a number of times that please don't try to shortchange the Speaker's role in this matter. It's very important because sometimes when you are having this debate, the Speaker is able to intervene to also draw attention to the national interest. And sometimes the Speaker prevails in doing that and is able to convince both sides of the House to adopt the business. But if the Speaker has no knowledge, there's nothing you can do. But I really had discussion with the leaders. And I also took note of what has happened in previous years. And that is why I guided the House as to the essential items, in fact, the critical items that we should consider within this week. In fact, I proposed the Saturday for us to sit, because I thought that by Friday we might not have completed these items. So I added Saturday. If need be, we should sit on Saturday to make sure that we complete them. Because after Saturday, we're going into the Christmas recess. In fact, Christmas break. And then by the time you return, it's around 28th. You have some business around 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, where you start making the necessary preparations for a transition. By our new standing orders, there are a number of things we have to do, including the government of the day, to pave way for the new government to take over. And so all this have been factored into the presentation I made. Once again, I want to urge you to be guided by that presentation. As we sit, we have the presidential transition team, the technical team working on the details of the transition. We have in the law, that is Act 845, the functions of the team. And there are some things that they have to do. And we in this house have a role to play. If you go through Section 2 of the Act, it's clearly stated there at 2C, the functions of the team are, and you include 2C, to ensure that the salaries, allowances, facilities, privileges, and the retiring benefits or awards are determined, Roman 1, by the President under Clause 1 of Article 71, and Roman 2 by Parliament under Clause 2 of Article 71, and which are due to the holders of the offices specified in Article 71 of the Constitution, are paid or accorded to those persons without undue delay. So we have a lot of work to do around that time. We know we are all agreed that there's a need for reforms. But until the reforms, these are end. And this involves a lot of public officials, not politicians, a lot of public officials who actually take what we call gratuity, not ex gratia, gratuity. We need to find space for this. And I will propose that leaders to focus on that and put in place a committee in readiness to receive the report. I was expecting to get a copy of the report today. Unfortunately, it hasn't yet gotten to the destination. I haven't received anything like that. And so we want this House to have a dedicated committee or to constitute itself in the committee of the whole, so that immediately it arrives, you are able to go into the details and to present a report for the approval of the House. And that deals with the conditions of service for the executive and the judiciary. And so please, members, let's take note of that. We don't have the pleasure of time, and we need to hurry up on these critical matters, finish them before the end of this month, and then we can now pave the way to transit, because the intention is for the next Parliament to be sworn in not just on the 7th, but we are proposing, and it is stated in the law, the Presidential Transition Act 2012, that the election of the next speaker be done 2 days to the end of the term of the Parliament. And so that you don't have to be doing elections on the 7th of the speaker. It will be like with swearing in of the speaker, who will now swear in the members, including the deputy speakers. And that will give a very seamless transition for the House to move to swear in the president on the same day. So that our illustrious luminaries, the guests that we invite from other countries, don't come and spend the whole day waiting for us to banter over who is speaker, elected speaker on the floor of the House. So we are finding space for all this. So we don't have the leisure of time to be going back to consider very substantive, controversial matters. Please, let's have faith in each other and allow the governance as a continuum to lead us to develop our nation. I think this will be my last appeal, and I will not entertain anybody taking us backwards. So please, table office, tomorrow's order paper, make sure that you do the right thing by eliminating all this very heavy business load on the House, because we will not be able to do them. We should not keep on deceiving the public that these are before the House. On the issue of the Constitution Amendment Bill, that is very dear to my heart. But there were serious objections that were raised by the current government, and in the discussion with leadership, there was no agreement. And so we decided that since we all agree that it's important to make some constitutional reforms, why not let's carry it along to the next government for it to be comprehensively taken through with the rest. If the need be for it to be taken earlier, it will be done within the first quarter of next year. So that was the understanding. So I had to remove that from my priority list and to allow the social protection bill, because, again, the leaders drew my attention to some benefits that will inure to the country. And it's not a controversial bill that we could take it through as quickly as possible. That is why it's being added to the list of priorities. So please, let's go on with that. With this, I proceed to put the question. Those in favor of the adoption of the report of the Business Committee as revised by members. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, we've discussed and expressed opinions. My humble suggestion is that we should adopt the report subject to the issues raised so that, Mr. Speaker, we come back to the House. I mean, the adoption of the report is not a finality. So, as revised, because we have not given specific amendment to it. And we agreed as a House, and I'm surprised that the minority leader coming to the floor to again raise an objection on a matter that by consensus we've agreed, but that is politics. Mr. Speaker, an impression is being created as if these items are new items that have suddenly arisen. It is not the case, but it's okay, I'll rest my case.
Majority Leader, it's not fair. You know your colleague Minority Leader is not here. But both of you sat with me on this matter. Yes, and you never agreed. He's not there. Now you got up to say you agreed, and you are trying to talk about at the Business Committee level. I wasn't present there. The meeting I was present was me and the two of you. You did not even allow your colleagues in leadership to be part of that discussion. And you disagreed. So you don't get up to paint a picture as if he's reneging on something he has agreed to earlier on. That's not fair.
Right, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to debate this matter, but Mr. Speaker, we had a business committee meeting, and I have signed a business committee report. Mr. Speaker, for me, if members have new issues to deal with, we can deal with them. But let us adopt the report without any condition. And then we can take other matters up. That's what I want to suggest to the House.
Yes, honorable members, do we have to keep on debating this matter? Yes, okay.
Speaker, truly, the honorable minority leader, when he got to the business committee meeting, the honorable majority leader was not there. So it is not like the two of them met at the business committee meeting. Leader, clear that. Secondly,
The business committee meeting was supposed to be started at 9. The honorable majority sent a message that they should send it to 10 a.m. By the time the honorable majority, Atuforcing, got there, leader, you had convened the meeting and closed the meeting and left. When he got there, he disagreed and wanted the meeting to be reconvened because you misled him with the time. So if you come here and you are now painting him as if he went to the meeting and agreed with you, only to come here and have a change of mind, you are not being fair to him. For Christ's sake, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Minority Leader Atuforcing was clear at the meeting. He said he wanted clarity. We should select the items to be agreed upon before coming here. And you prevail upon that when you get here, he can express his opinion. He has come to do same, and you are painting him black. So which is which? So clearly, Mr. Speaker, we should go by the path that you are chartering to, and I think it's the best way to go. As expenditure in appropriation, you go and say that, oh, and these people don't want workers to be paid. Let's prioritize that. When we finish that and there's something to be done, that one will be up to us.
Honorable Ayarga.
Speaker, I think that constitute proposals to us as a house to accept or reject. The proposals were made. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, you drew attention to the fact that given the time at our disposal, certain items. Members raised issues, rejected some items contained in the proposal. You have put it to a vote, and he is saying that we should accept everything. When members are very clear that certain items contained in the proposals are not acceptable to them. If you don't accept a revised proposal, this side is likely to vote against it. Accept a revised proposal as indicated by the Speaker so that we can move on. Please, we raise issues and say that let's deal with the expenditure items for the first quarter of next year, and then we close. So there's clearly no consensus on all the items contained in the proposal. That is why we should accept the Speaker's proposal that let's adopt a revised business statement report, and then we can move on.
Leader, you want me to put the question without the word revised? I'll just put the question. Those who are in favor of the adoption.
Let me make this important point, then we can draw the curtain on this matter. Mr. Speaker, the practice in a parliament is for government business to be tabled on the floor, views expressed, and a vote taken. Mr. Speaker, these items have been business of government since some have been on the business state or order paper since 2022. Some have been on the order paper since May. Mr. Speaker, what is their problem? If you say you are opposed to it, so be it. Let us come with the motion. You have your 137. Your 137 will say no. Our 138, if we have it, we vote for it. Two, Mr. Speaker, on the judges, the committee is done with its report. You participated. The report is supposed to be laid. If you are against it, that is your principled position. But you cannot say that government business, because you merely disagree, we should not list it on the order paper, or that it should not be a matter for business committee to consider. We will be setting a bad precedent for democracy. We will be setting a bad precedent for democracy where members will say that because they disagree, they will vote against a business statement. To say that we agree for this item to be on the business statement, we don't agree for this. What you do is to wait to express your opinion. And when you express, it's very unknown to our democracy. Very unknown. And I want to accept that. We should not set a bad precedent because...
Honorable Majority Leader,
Yes,
please resume your seat.
Thank you.
We have been confronted with these things before. It's not the first time. Go and read the Hansard of 2000. You will come across a similar challenge that faced the House. That time, I was chairman of the Committee on Constitutional, Legal, and Parliamentary Affairs. His Excellency, the President, was the ranking member. Go and read it. The same issue of nomination of judges to the Supreme Court came up. And there was serious objection by the minority then. And the then government had to drop those nominees. Go and read the Hansard. And the reason that were adduced, led by His Excellency the President at that time, they are there. So don't create the impression that this is the first time such a challenge is facing the House. If there's a need for us to improve upon it, and I believe there's always a need to improve on these things, okay, let's say so, and let's go on it. But I gave you a reason that these matters are so important that we need time to consider them well. If you wanted to always sit till midnight or the next day, I'm available. Luckily, I'm very healthy now. You know, I can sit through. Be prepared. But let's do a good job to make sure that the decisions we take will be to the benefit of Ghana and Ghanaians. That's most important. Not just rush through them and then maybe further aggravate the economic or social situation in the country. That's my worry. We have spent the whole day today not doing much. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. But I'll put the question. If I put the question as you have requested, I'm trying to look at your numbers. Because sometimes I have to save you from embarrassment. I have to look at your numbers and look at their numbers to see whether you are likely to win or lose. You are to adopt the business statement. I have to put the question. To adopt. Yes, go on. We should check the rules.
The Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the business committee report has been submitted, and issues have been raised. Some issues have been raised. Some of them legitimate with respect to the time available to the House for doing justice to some of these matters. On the other hand, Mr. Speaker, the matter being raised by the majority leader is also legitimate in the sense that if a paper, introduce the paper to the House, it means that technically you are saying that you don't allow government business to come to the House. And that will be a dangerous precedent, I mean technically. Also for the Speaker, you're giving a very useful guidance as to going forward, what should be done. The Speaker, it is useful. However, we must also be careful. Is it the case that a Speaker would say that I will allow this government business, I will not allow this government business? So even though I see a lot of sense in what the Speaker is doing, we must also look at the technical implications. I think that we have these matters before us. Admittedly, it's not everything that we can deal with. So we adopt the report and we consider those matters that have come before us. We get to first reading is just rising and bowing, but we can't transact business on it. Like the second reading and so on and so forth. Because when you do the first reading, you now have to refer the matter of time, which then goes to what direction the Speaker is giving us. That let's look at all these implications. So we become very pragmatic in the consideration of these matters. So I'm saying that time certainly will not allow us to deal with all these before us. I agree. But when it is advertised for a paper to be presented, and the indication is that no, we'll not allow this paper to be presented, that also has its own connotation, which in my view will not be good for the image of the House. But we must be pragmatic. What can we deal with? What can we not deal with? The Speaker has offered some suggestions. Going forward, we look at what to do, what we can do, and what we cannot do. As simple as that. Which is why the leader is saying that, okay, let's adopt the report. However, we must take into consideration the various suggestions that come from the floor, that have come from the floor. Then we move on. So that is my consideration of the matter.
Yes, Honorable Ayaria.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, it has already took place without the participation of our leader. That became obvious when Honorable Ahmed took the floor. He indicated that our side did not participate because they were misled. You have given further guidance. Indeed, I think that the proper thing to do is to adjourn and direct them to go and meet again tomorrow morning, both sides, agree on a common agenda and bring back to us. Because we will not approve an agenda that is entirely orchestrated by one side. Mr. Speaker, it is obvious. He did not dispute the fact that Honorable Atto did not participate in the meeting. He did not also refute the fact that Honorable Atto is not an agenda that was agreed upon by both sides. So he misled us, and so this House is being cajoled into accepting something that one side did not participate in deciding on. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that the best thing to do is to adjourn, direct them to go tomorrow morning, meet, and then agree on something and bring to us, informed by the debates that have taken place today, the discussions that have taken place today, and your own advice. And I heard you, Mr. Speaker, indicate that even you were not aware of terms that you think are more practical. And indeed, the great leader is agreeing that we must be very practical, that we cannot deal with this tall list of items that the majority leader is trying to impose upon us. So I urge you to adjourn and refer the matter back to the business committee, let them meet tomorrow morning, and let them bring us a practical, acceptable, realistic agenda. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, even though I allow you for purposes of education and creating public awareness as to how we do our business, so sometimes I allow these exchanges. It's important for us to note that the speakers listen to both sides of the House. And the information at the disposal of the speaker also includes the technical staff, because the clerk is the principal advisor to the speaker on practice and procedure of the House. Apart from that, there are other authorities that get in touch with the speaker. And so I use that to advise. But when a business item is admitted by the speaker, and it is passed on and processed for the consideration of the business committee, and is scheduled for the attention of the House, that item cannot just be prevented from being presented because it's not yet before the House. It's when it's presented that it becomes the property of the House. And the House now will take time to go into it, bring a report for deliberation. It's at the time of taking the decision that the House could reject or approve it or adopt the report. When I talked about the adoption of the business committee report, I did that because I'm aware that when I say it's so adopted, a member could challenge this to use the general word, ruling. And that meant that we have to put it to a vote. And so in doing these things, that's why I was drawing your attention to the fact that I have to look at the numbers on the floor, on both sides of the house. And sometimes, as Speaker, when you think that this matter is in the interest of the nation, and you want it to go through, but you see that if you put the question, it's likely to be rejected because those against it are more than those for it, then you apply the other rules. And so sometimes I'm drawing your attention to the fact that yes, you are majority leader, you are in charge of government business, but don't imperil government business. And more so, having sat on that chair for many years, I'm aware always as a leader, you have to go back because you need the support of those in the opposition to be able to carry on government business. And so if you recall, you are not too old in the house, but at least you are not also young. There are a number of times even allowed during my tenure, the opposition members to lead the business, to carry it through. It's very, very important. It's not for the individual's glory or party glory, but the national interest. So please, I will hesitate to refer it back to the business committee to reconsider. I thought the guidance had been given, and I was proceeding because all the important items have been stated, telling the table office to put across in the order paper for tomorrow's consideration. But if you, as leader of government business, insist that we should see carry on with all, well, it's for you. Because I didn't only talk about even the challenge of time, I also talk about the season. And I'm aware that a number of your own members will not be showing up. I'm very sure about that. You can contest me on it, but I'm very sure they will not be showing up for the business of the house. Anyway, you have the last.
Mr. Speaker, the business committee meeting wasn't a one-sided meeting. Members of the NDC minority were part of the meeting, for the records. I have not misled the House into believing that the report was consensus. This report was consensus. We arrived at the items by consensus. 3, the time agreed was 10 a.m. and it is a clerk to the committee that advertised it on our platform. It was not my time of choosing where I hurriedly convened a meeting without my other colleagues. But I agree that when the meeting had closed, and for you, my worry is about the precedents we are setting on this matter. That the matter contained in the proposal should come before us. If it comes, and we deliberate and we take a decision, that at that point is before the House. But if Mr. Speaker, at this stage, it's going to be a novel practice for the House to say that business committee meeting, because there's a disagreement, we are going to reject or take some out and amend. Mr. Speaker, as it pleases the House, you are to guide us, and I will yield to the suggestions that you want to put across. But I find it a novel practice. I find it a novel practice. And again, and finally, the suggestion that some of these items are new are completely untrue. Mr. Speaker, these items have been pending for months and years, and my colleagues know. If we may not have our members, let's wait for that day. If our members don't come, I won't put it to a vote for me to lose a question. So, Mr. Speaker, let's get to the bridge and then we'll cross it. These are items that government want to pursue. If we get there and we don't have our 138, we'll step it down. But my colleagues should proceed to oppose it when the thing comes to a vote, rather than to prevent it from being discussed. That one, I disagree. And I want Hansa to capture him as such. Mr. Speaker, having made my point, the rest lies with you. Thank you.
Anyway, honorable members, if you look at the order paper, item 10 deals with presentation of papers, which meant that there are new matters to be presented to the House. So when you say there are no new matters, it's not wholly true. And I did draw your attention to the agreements dealing with the military on behalf of the government of Ghana and the French government. That one, I had no knowledge of it, and we just seen it. And so that's fresh business. And it's not only one. If you go through it, these are businesses to be presented. 10, A, B, C, D. They are businesses to be presented. So please, let's stop at this. But what happened at your business committee meeting is actually not under discussion here. I think we should leave it at that, because I usually ask for further and better particulars. Yes, please, Deputy Minority Whip.
Mr. Speaker, for the records, I just want the majority leader to be aware that he misled us. Mr. Speaker, the business committee notice was issued with the time at 8 a.m. This morning, the majority leader changed the time, said, let's do 9 a.m. At 9 a.m., he directed the clerk to change from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. You changed the time twice. The test is here. On the platform is here. So we were all waiting that once he changed the time to 10 a.m., it's 10 a.m. We got there 10 a.m., you have said the meeting is over. Leaders. 8 a.m. is the meeting take place at 8 a.m. When you said let's do 9 a.m., all your text messages are here. 8 a.m., you said let's do 9 a.m. Then later, the clerk issued, have been directed by the majority leader to reschedule the meeting to 10 a.m. That is here. Is it true or false? Then we're waiting 10 a.m. Atu got there 10:13. You said the meeting is over. Then he said, no, let's reconvene and sit. You said you are going to pursue other issues. When Atu entered there, were you there? No, Mr. Speaker. You see, Alex, let's state the record. If you had admitted your mistake, that you misled us, maybe we should have considered you. But you misled us, and you are continuing saying that for the record. Now you are proving to me that it was deliberate. Oh, let's beat them by the time. And take everything to the floor. Ask your deputy. When I questioned her, she said, oh, let's go to the floor so that you raise your issues here. Then he has come to do say, and you are saying that no, he shouldn't do that.
Speaker, with respect, the minority leader indicated the reason for the time change was that he said you had a caucus meeting. Mr. Speaker, it was at the instance of your leader. Please don't let's go there. The 8 to 9, 9 to 10 was because he indicated you guys had a caucus meeting. And I yielded. You may recall that on the same platform, we were to have the meeting last week. And Honorable Kwame Agboja, the chief with more errors, then you want to blow it out of proportion. Honorable Ahmed, we were supposed to have this meeting on Friday. You said you wanted it today. I immediately agreed. Your side requested for a change in time. I agreed. They requested for it again. I agreed. And then when we started the meeting, some of your members were there, and we started. So let's not go there. The point I've made is that if you have strong views, let it get to the stage where you can reject or otherwise. But to say that it shouldn't come at all, it's not acceptable. That's the point I've made. But I agree with Mr. Speaker that indeed I erred by saying that all the items have been on the business statement for some time. Some are indeed new. And that I concede on the correction made to my earlier submission by Mr. Speaker. I concede on that. Mr. Speaker, I believe we can make progress. Thank you.
Honorable members, the evidence at my disposal is that initially the meeting was scheduled for 8 a.m. And then both sides came with the fact that they have to have caucus meetings. So it was shifted to 9. At 9, the information was that they hadn't completed the meetings, so it was shifted to 10. That is the information at my disposal. And so this is what happened, which led to the change of time. We have gone past that. We are looking at the reality we have now, but we'll do what we can do. I will guard against decisions that could work against the interests of the nation. And therefore, there are some items that I will not want to endanger in a deliberation now. And so my advice will be for us to take that and let the incoming government come to consider it. That will be my advice. Because if you consider it now and maybe it's rejected or you bastardize it, we may not have the opportunity to reevaluate it and maybe take a better decision on it. So please, honorable members, let's end it here and then proceed to other items. I see the very senior veteran member of parliament, Honorable Cletus Avoka.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I humbly want to suggest that this is not the first time that a business statement has been subjected to debate and suggestions, etc. So like you observed earlier, I don't think that we need a second business committee meeting on this matter. What we should do is that we adopt the statement, we adopt the business statement, subject to the suggestions and recommendations that have been expressed on the floor and your guidance. That's all. And then we continue. Tomorrow, as and when matters come, we do them. We don't need to go and have another meeting on the business committee to waste our time. We adopt the business statement as read today, subject to the amendments or suggestions that have been expressed on the floor, including your guidance. And we move ahead. That has been the practice.
Former majority leader, the current majority leader is not in favor of it being subjected to any proposal, because that was my earlier proposal. But you are not against it being subject to. Oh yes, then let's go there. Please.
Mr. Speaker, that was the very view I expressed. Hansard would bear me out. I use the word yes. You see, Mr. Speaker, you know, redundant. All of Mr. Speaker will be looking for things for your constituent. We adopt the report. Let this. That is all.
Yes, honorable members, do we need to debate this again? Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, we don't need to debate this. But Mr. Speaker, my colleague on the other side, you've actually helped him when he was insisting that you shouldn't put a question because he wanted everything here to be adopted. Mr. Speaker, I will encourage you, and he's saying that whenever he's got his numbers, he will bring things that we don't like and put them to vote. Mr. Speaker, I want you to be fair to him and all of us. Put the issues, even the business statement, to listen. So if the House decide that we are rejecting it, let's reject it today, not on the day that he's got people on his side. So, Mr. Speaker, I entreat you, put the issue to a vote so that let us reject it for him to know that we are opposed to the attempt to grant tax waivers worth 300 million, which have been opposed for 2 years. Mr. Speaker, put the question. Don't even give him the opportunity, because you were speaking to him in parable when you said to him that sometimes you protect him by asking him to look at his back. By looking at his back. Mr. Speaker, what happens the day that the people on my back are not enough and his are more? Then he will try to take the judges, would that be fair on that day? Mr. Speaker, would that be fair on that day? Mr. Speaker, put the question so that we reject the business statement today, so that we can go and do a proper business committee meeting and agree on what is put on the business statement, coming instead of protecting him because he has, Ubi gave you a vote commensurate with the. They're still working like this. Talking, this is less than the district assembly size of everything.
Mr. Speaker, very soon it will get to his turn. That disease that is making us suffer today, I give you 6 months. You will go through the same process. But Mr. Speaker, don't worry. The rules book we have, the standing orders. I don't want to ask you to look into your books, your standing orders. But I want to tell you that there's nowhere that a business statement is required to be subjected to a vote. Read for me, read. We've passed this. Read it, you quote me a rule that requires that a business statement. Go and read the old rules and this one. Read the old rules. Mr. Agboja, read, you see, you are aspiring to be a new majority leader. Behave yourself. Don't behave yourself. Don't act as if you are still in minority. You claim you are a majority. Behave like somebody who is in majority. What's wrong with you? Read where you can find in the books.
To tell us, how do you adopt something in Parliament without taking a vote? Tell me, which rule tells you how to adopt? Can Mr. Speaker just decide that the House has adopted without members? Tell me. Consensus. So there's no consensus here today. We don't have a consensus. So tell me which rules you are using. There's no consensus.
Yes, honorable members, the Business Committee report is accordingly adopted. When I use the word accordingly, comments may have developed through practice, because it's a report coming from a committee of the House. So there must be a procedure, albeit very informal, for the House to indicate that it has accepted that report. So it's not like a formal debate where you put the question and the House will take a decision. And so this is the procedure that was developed through practice. So we adopt it and then we'll move on from there. Honorable members, we will now take item 9 at the commencement of public business. Presentation. Item 9 is presentation of petitions. I don't have any indication that we have petitions before us. So we'll move on to item 10, which is presentation of papers. the following papers to be presented. A, by the Minister for Finance, 10A Roman 1, expenditure in advance or appropriation for January to March 2025. It's not ready. It's not ready. And nobody present that paper. No.
Speaker, I think the minister himself will be in charge meeting. So same time, there's also another cabinet meeting at 5. So I'm just walking there to inform him that he needs to present it. I guess maybe tomorrow it should be ready, or maybe latest day after tomorrow. But I guess, certainly in the course of the week.
I know the report is ready because I was given a copy to admit for the consideration of the business committee, which I did. The challenge we have now is whether there's any authority here to present it for and on behalf of the Minister for Finance. If there's none, then we could leave it to tomorrow, where he himself, as you indicated, he wants to be in charge of it. So we, honorable members, defer that item, and then we move on. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, as you always say, we learn. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Chairman Sabonsu has laid papers in this House. In fact, he's actually even presented a budget in this House. I'm surprised that both the leader of government business and the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs do not have authority to just lay what you are talking about in this House. I don't want to believe there's any conspiracy. Mr. Speaker, one of them can actually lay this paper. Just laying. Normally they will tell you it's just laying, it's just laying. Honorable Chairman Sabosu has laid papers for Finance Minister, Energy Ministry. In fact, one of the days we call him Minister for Everything. So it is difficult for me to understand why my good friend, Honorable Afenyo Makin, would not even lay this paper on behalf of Finance Minister. Apart from that, Honorable Chairman Sabosu, who actually has presented on record a budget in this House, equal to being a Finance Minister, can lay this paper and refer it. Tomorrow we'll deal with it. Mr. Speaker, if they delay this and tell us this is one of the reasons we'll sit on Saturday, Mr. Speaker, that will not be fair to members. That will not be fair to members. They have all opportunity today. In effect, Mr. Speaker, the first day of resumption, the government has not presented any business. That is the fact. They haven't presented any business. Yet, the leader of the House is requesting for you to add another day, which is a Saturday. How fair is that to the people of this House? When you have no business on the first day. Mr. Speaker,
Minority Chief Whip, actually, he hasn't requested that I add Saturday. He hasn't done so. I looked at the nature of the business before the House, and it was my proposal that we could not complete the business that I prioritized within the 5 days. So I added the Saturday. You have a good case because it means that it's a sign that they want to delay and then we'll be compelled to sit on Saturday. But also don't forget that times have changed. One of the issues I raised was the fact that maybe even what I admitted, because of the current situation, might have made some amendments. And that is why I took into consideration the charge of it. He wants to do it hinges, and it will be something different. So let's leave it to tomorrow for him to come and present. Or, Honorable Chairman Zabonsu. Yes, please.
Speaker, just to concur and indeed align with what we just said, that was the issue I was raising. And he knows that issues have come up recently in respect of some expenditures, the minister will have to evaluate these matters. It's not for me. So, Mr. Speaker, if the chief whip for the minority gets up and is, attributing or impugning some improper motives, Mr. Speaker, he has some uncanny ability of introducing these matters into otherwise very sanctimonious issues, and you should be guided.
Actually, even if he did, those were not improper motives. They are proper motives.
Speaker, if you heard him,
I heard him.
That it may be acceptable to some conspiracy.
Yeah, if the intention is to delay it and to push the time to Saturday, that motive is not improper. It's proper.
Proper motives. And he knows that those. Mr. Speaker, even in his status as the leader of government business, not a minister, he cannot present items for on behalf of a minister. I thought this is, parliamentary practice that you must learn, or that you ought to know. So to say that because, the Speaker, let me not go on that tangent. I'll forgive him for his trespasses.
Yes, honorable members, the word conspiracy is not only negative, it's also positive. You can conspire to commit a crime. You can also conspire to prevent the commission of a crime. So we should not always look at it like how many of you do. You think that when they say you belong to a tribe, it's negative. No, those are the building blocks of society, and they are positive. So if they say you are being tribalistic, it doesn't mean it's a negative connotation. I don't ascribe to that view. It's the beginning of patriotism, loyalty, identity, and that is positive. It's not negative. Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to move that we bring proceedings to an end, to go and come with renewed strength tomorrow morning. Mr. Speaker, the day is far spent and much has been discussed, even though a decision has not been taken. I knew that the Minister for Finance will not be here to present this expenditure in advance today. I knew. And Mr. Speaker, it is for this reason that when appointments are being made, proper due diligence must be made. If the minister is engaged, what about the parliamentary candidate for Dwabusu, the Deputy Minister for Finance, who was given that position to go and contest in Dwabusu and lost? Now that he's lost, he can come and be holding the fort for the minister. The Speaker, our friends were here. When if those appointments had been given to my good friend like Anyimadu, he would have started the motion. Really. The Speaker, even my good friend, Honorable Collison Team, could have proceeded with business. But you go and give the positions to parliamentary candidates just to win votes. Now they have lost and they have no interest. See where we are. The Speaker, I move that we bring proceedings to an end. I so do.
Yes, honorable members, in view of the situation we are in, Parliament is compelled to bring our usual festival of 9 lessons and carols earlier. And it's proposed that it be held on Wednesday in service, represented by a vice, sweet voices are going to be present. And I want to take this opportunity to urge all of you to make it a point to attend, to thank God for mercies and blessings, for seeing us through another very successful democratic elections, and particularly the Parliament of Ghana. You know how we have struggled to manage this hung parliament for 4 years now. We're coming to an end, and we need to show gratitude to the Almighty God for how far He's brought us. So please, honorable members, make it a point to attend. Those who are not available, kindly inform them and make sure that we are seen to be together. With this, a motion is moved for adjournment. Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded for the consideration of the House. Being a motion for adjournment, I put the question. Those in favor say aye. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, I will proceed to adjourn the House, and the House is adjourned tomorrow, Tuesday, the 17th of December 2024 at 10 in the forenoon. The House is adjourned.